anything can be changed, especially around your finances, and absolutely anything is possible. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about why we have money, worry, and anxiety. We're going to introduce some concepts and tools on how to have an internal thought shift around money so that transformation can happen. Why do we have anxiety around money? Why is this constant with everyone, without exception? Even people who have a ton of money, I'm talking billions of dollars, have this money anxiety. And the first thing that I noticed is that as young people, we got very little, if no, education around money. We certainly don't get it in schools. And the majority of us don't get it at home either, because our parents didn't get it at home either. We didn't get the tools that we need to manage money. There's a lot to learn about money. Balancing your checkbook. Why is building wealth important? You would think that would be a no-brainer, but why is building wealth important? Banking applications, taxes, credit cards, investing, how to read a financial statement, building wealth, financial technology, financial budgeting, and the key thing is emotional aspects of spending. There is so much to learn about with money, and there's very little education in the beginning of our lives to do that. Sending a kindergartner to do calculus is like expecting a newborn bird to fly without first learning to flap its wings. It is not a question of ability, but of being naturally unprepared for the task at hand. It's not that we don't have the ability to manage finances, is that most of us were never given the education to do so, and understanding the emotional components to that as well are huge. There are exceptions to this rule. Of course, there are some people who have gotten great education. And I had a client, her parents were amazing. They talked about balancing checkbooks and why building wealth is important. And they instilled in her an amazing work ethic. And she went on to be incredibly successful, working in a very large corporation, managing thousands of people. And what happened was that work ethic took over. It went into overdrive. She worked 80 to 100 hours a week. She was making a ton of money, but because she was so tired, she spent money just as fast because she wanted to feel better because she was so tired. So that instinct, that work ethic kind of took over, right? Once we got that back into balance, things totally changed for her. And the other piece of this is if you have, doesn't matter how much education, if you have an underlying addiction, like gambling addiction, no education is going to help with that, except for healing that addiction. The second thing that I noticed is that because the majority of us feel ill-prepared to handle finances, think about it, money is the very thing that supports our survival. Where we live, how we live, what we eat, can we eat, will we have a roof over our head? And if we have confusion or doubt in our ability to manage finances, that's going to tap the bear of fear. Also along the way, I found that people have equated our worth as human beings has somehow gotten connected to our wealth, which is totally not true. But when we feel ill-prepared to handle our finances, we don't know how to make them work, we don't understand them, they're overwhelming, we somehow feel less worthy as human beings, which is, again, totally not true. We are all equal, whether we're billionaires or not. And the last thing that I've noticed is that practically nobody talks about money. When was the last time you had an open conversation with a parent or a friend about money? Now, if you're the exception to the rule, God bless you, that's awesome. But really, it's like the boogeyman. There's something, again, about taps the fear of survival. It taps into the I don't know how to do this. It taps into I feel alone about this. So talking about money makes us feel incredibly vulnerable. So most times it doesn't happen. When was the last time we talked about money without judgment, or we felt seen and heard and valued with our struggles around money? We're too vulnerable to talk about that. So this lack of connections can make us feel incredibly isolated and alone for something that is there to really support our survival. And that can feel scary and certainly cause anxiety.